encouraging you to stay 6 feet apart, but if you do it back to back, stand up, Sammy. You can share without spitting in each other's faces. If you want to turn and face them, just use your best judgment. Right. So what we'll do is you'll get up and find your first sharing partner and talk about what you already know. We're going to find 4 different people in the room. We're going to do this 4 times, kind of go a little bit.
So about
Quick.
1 minute
Yeah.
per question, so if you are chatty, chop off at 30 seconds.
Questions before you start moving? All right, find your first partner. What do you already know about online lesson design and delivery? Okay, finish up your thought. And switch partners. What elements of technology do you already use? All right, finish up your conversation, find a new partner. And it is, how do I currently use technology to differentiate instruction? You might have already talked about this in the last one, so if you want to combine these next two. And what do you know about students' home tech and the supports they may or may not have at home? So go ahead and switch partners.
targets for today?
Me too. It's not happening anytime soon.
So text and evidence, we're going to take another 5 minutes to look at the task, reflection of the task. That would be the first, what would you call it, topic of remote learning. And we're going to also look at, or you will, success criteria. Think about clarity. Be very explicit about what the students are learning, how they will know they're successful, and why they're learning it. OLE, for those of you who are new, OLE is Optimal Learning Environment, and most districts call it OLE, but since I teach Spanish and I'm a coach, it's OLE. And worthwhile lessons. So what we're doing is tied to a standard. It builds on skills, knowledge, and reasoning of the students, and it's meeting their academic, emotional, and social needs. So we're going to give you a little bit of time, 5 minutes, to explore the 5 areas. Are they at the top?
Probably like 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Okay, go to the top. So explore those 6 areas, and then we'll go on to our task for the morning.
There isn't a quick transfer, but I will certainly work with you to upload your previous work.
So you're gonna get your badges on, are you? Well, I'll just won't bring those medals to open house.
Well, my boss doesn't ever give me any kudos, so you're gonna.
She's a gold star, kinda. That's right, acknowledge it.
Name it.
Name it.
Name it.
Are you right in the middle of an FFT over there, Bonnie?
What's that?
Are you in the middle of an FFT over there? Hmm.
Oh, it's just one of many.
Oh.
Okay, in the afternoon, your task will be to create 3 sequential online lessons. And so this morning, you're going to get a chance to look at the tools and resources that you could use for creating online lessons. And then down in the second bullet, you're going to use one resource. And we'd like you to click on that link just to see the document that you're going to be working on.
These are the folks from yesterday that explored the resources and planned their lessons.
Where'd you get there?
Okay, so in the PowerPoint,
What slide?
Okay, the PowerPoint.
33.
87. No, actually 40. Is it really? Yeah. So when I
And then if you
come to
click on must use resource, this should pop up.
Thank you.
There's some there's turtles and other things on there, so.
Okay, I would like you this morning at some point to click on the resource I shared with you and get into that and see if you can see it. If you cannot, I typed your name wrong or something, let me know so I can fix that. So that gives you some more resources that you could use. Before we go to lunch then, we are going to have you share out some of the great resources that you found.
We're just gonna kind of show you how you might want to navigate through a resource. The one we found that we thought was pretty powerful and helpful and actually linked you to a whole bunch of other good resources is by John Spencer.
Okay, sorry.
And there's a quote from him. John Spencer is he's an author, he's taught K-12, he's taught distance learning.
College.
He has been a mentor for distance. He has a whole bunch of credibility behind him. But if you would read if you want to read his quote there,
It's powerful.
it's powerful and a good mindset. So on the credential, on the tab, either the possible learning pathways or additional tools, anything that's blue is a link. So you would click on the link.
We picked the 7 big ideas as a resource to use to create lessons.
Okay, this is by John Spencer. So he organizes his things. He has like some text. You can get a free ebook from him, and he'll email you like once a week.
Tons of resources.
One thing to think about is he talks about how you can't just move your class online. You really have to transform your thinking.
Stop.
Um,
So you're not converting, you're transforming.
Right. And then what he's done is he divides the big ideas in, so it's a big idea, he writes some text, and then there's either a visual or a video that goes along with it.
These videos have ideas of things you can use online to create with your kids.
So when he talks about kids creating, I think we should videotape Brian doing his poem, because that would be a way kids could create. So Brian could model that for us, how he show what he knows. Here it talks about collaboration and then how to do that, the difference between synchronous, asynchronous, and a hybrid. Those are actual apps you can use. That's why we just found this resource pretty powerful.
Talks about empowering your students to own their learning online, and how having them choose how to show you what they know. I found this part of the article very useful, of how to set up maybe a lesson. Here's my learning target, what resources am I going to use, and how are they going to show me they knew it?
So there's where you can put some student choice in.
Kind of like choice menu, but ramped up.
It's just, don't just throw out the old because it's old. Find a way to mesh it.
Some ideas of how to do that.
So like here's an example of one of the videos.
If you're a teacher, you're also a designer. You're the architect designing your physical space and creating the systems for your classroom community. And you're the artist designing the units and projects and materials for your students. And great design is like a ninja. It might seem invisible, but it's also powerful, which is why I love the idea of user experience design theory, or UX design theory. With UX design, you adjust the systems to the user while also guiding them toward an ideal outcome. And this can be helpful as you design courses, lessons, and materials for your students. So here are 7 strategies you can learn from UX design. Number 1, begin with the student in mind. Walk in their shoes. What will students think and feel as they navigate your course? Number 2, create an onboarding experience. If you teach online, you might create an unboxing video showing students how to navigate your course. And if you teach in person, you might create an activity that helps them explore how your class works. Number 3, be simple. Whether you're creating materials or designing systems, think of ways to simplify the process so students can figure out things intuitively. Break things up into lists and use visual cues to guide them. Number 4, be intentional with copy text. Focus on clarity when you write directions. Number 5, be both linear and connected. When creating online courses, for example, make it flow logically, but use links that allow students to make connections between ideas and resources. Number 6, solicit frequent feedback. At the beginning of the year, have students annotate course documents. Later, conduct periodic student surveys to help you figure out what's working and what's not working, so you can iterate and improve your classroom structures. Number 7, be consistent. Use consistent formatting for your lesson plans and materials and project papers. And be sure to use the consistent assignment titles on the board and the syllabus and when you reference it in person. Ultimately, UX design can help us create classrooms that are easier to navigate and more student-friendly.
So just some ideas to think about. The last pieces of his article, big idea 6 is the show and tell approach. Kind of talks about how not making it all academic, having the kids share some things online. I gave the example of when Sam was Zooming with Mr. Sexton this spring. Most of the time he was working with his dad during quarantine, and so Mr. Sexton was really good about saying, tell me something about what you're doing, and it had nothing to do with content at that point. And so Sam got to share about, learned how to butcher beef and how to butcher a hog, and he got to share that, and that was important to him. Now he thinks he needs to just quit school and work, but that's a different problem. But he really appreciated the fact that he got to share something, and then the other kids could share or bring something that they had worked on or whatever. It had nothing to do with the social studies content at that point. It was, well, you know what, he wants to know what I'm doing outside of the scheduled Zoom meeting, so.
But it also fits with 21st century skills and communication.
And that student agency, he knew that he was going to be able to share something, and so he took pride in that, so.
Two other things to think about when you're designing. Elementary and middle school teachers, you are going to have access to something called Pear Deck, which interacts with Google Slides and makes it interactive, where when the kid goes into it, they make a copy and then they can write, record, draw on the slides, and it goes back to you. So when you're designing your lessons, you might want to put it in a Google Slide form for now. Second thing, just like she shared about Sam, I'm going to share something about Garrett in his college classes. He sat in my kitchen on his computer. He was online taking the test. On his phone, he was Zooming with his classmates. They were comparing answers. Don't think that our kids aren't going to be any different. So when you're designing instruction, if you think a kid's going to do it independently, may or may not be true. So you kind of have to give that power away that, hey, how can I make this so it's okay if they collaborate? How can I make it so, because the kids are resourceful. I would have done the exact same thing. So just keep those things in mind.
And just think also about being present and available in whatever form. There's some examples there. Okay. Working time?
So this is your work time. We'll come back about 11:45-ish, do a quick share out. We've got to break at noon because Steve's bringing in some lunch tables. So it'll be noisy then, so we'll have lunch then, and then, like we said, the afternoon is yours.
If you want to work in teams to plan your lessons, if you want to, yeah, it's your
And you can work wherever you want. Elementary teachers, if you want to go in your rooms, if you wanna work in here, we're here, if you need help. Bounce ideas.
That's really the plan to get your kids ready for the online learning or to actual, plan ahead. But yesterday, a lot of the teachers chose you know what, I should probably plan 3 lessons I'm gonna do with them while they're with me. So then hopefully not, but when they're at home and I say, get onto Google or get onto Canvas, they know exactly what you're asking them to do. But that's your choice, it's your choice. And don't forget to share your resources, what you found helpful out of the module.
And use that, teachers have put there why they found it helpful. Use that to help you think, oh, this is a resource I wanna look at.
Wide Open School's a good one too. Okay, that's my last one. Now you can.
Is there anyone who needs a computer? Would you like to use my computer? So that you can check your own resources?
Sure, she said.